Hello, everybody, and welcome to GameDay Squad Aussie Rules live show. We're here today to preview round 13. And I've got a little giggle because I've just seen Bales running around behind the screen.
How we going, mate?
But mate, I'm good. I'm ready to talk some fantasy footy. How about yourself? You ready to go?
Yeah, good. Yes. Yeah, I thought I had enough time to do a couple of things before we started, but fell 5 seconds short. But it's been a busy day. Looking forward to talking some fantasy and GameDay Squad.
That's it, mate. Well, that's how you know this man right here is dedicated, ladies and gentlemen. He is just straight into it, getting stuff done. And now you guys know why we're here. It is about to be round 13 of GameDay Squad Fantasy, and we're going to preview the round. We're going to look at some of the players you should be starting, maybe ones to miss, and we'll go through some rankings and show off our squads in the end. But Bales, we're going to do we always do, and have a look at some of the big news for the round. Starting off with tonight's game, we have the Bulldogs taking on Hawthorn, mate. And the big one here, I guess, and maybe not someone to start, but something to keep an eye on is Adam Chalor back in for the Dogs. So he's going to be back through that midfield. How much time will he spend? Who knows? But definitely a big contributor when he's on. And then on the other side, we have James Sicily's out due to an injury. Nick Watson also with an illness in that forward line. So a lot of big names out in this one for Hawthorn. We'll see how they match up tonight. Then your Mighty Crows taking on a really red-hot Brisbane Lions. Rory Laird, your boy, is back in. Back. I'm sure you're stoked.
Yep, he's back. That is a massive game tomorrow night. How good are the first two games around? You've got Dogs and Hawks. Hawks need to respond, and Dogs going along very nicely. Then you've got Crows and Brisbane tomorrow night, and Brisbane win. That's a big win for them. And if the Crows win, then that's, I guess, not science in the doubters, but that's like the win the Crows, I guess, need against the top 4 team, which we haven't been able to do yet. So big game. I'm hoping to go to it, but apparently it's going to be very, very wet. So maybe I'd just go and watch it somewhere instead of actually going in the stadium and get drowned. So we'll see.
Yes, I know what you mean. It's a statement win, I guess, is what you're looking for. You know, you guys have had a really good year, but this will be one of those wins if you can pull it off where it's like, okay, the Crows are here and they're legit and they're ready to make some noise this season. The next game, though, is the Richmond Tigers taking on the Swannies. We've got Noah Bolter back in for Richmond, but a lot of movement here for the Swans. Sam Wicks back in, Millsy in, Aaron Francis in. But why? Matty Roberts is out due to an illness. This is a player
that's a big one. That's someone that a few people might have been out. I was considering putting him into my classics of life, but I was considering it because he had Richmond. So, but obviously he's out, so he can't do that anymore.
Mate, it's a big loss, and it's definitely a player that a lot of people would have, thought, hey, could be a bit of a pod, but unfortunately. Yeah, I'm going to be without him this round. Let's go to the next game, though. We've got Geelong versus the Suns. Danger back in. Other than that, nothing too significant there. The Giants are taking on Port. We've got Brent Daniels, who was in the preseason, was a really solid forward option. A lot of people were looking at, but hasn't had the year that we would have thought. But he's back in. We know about Callan Ward. That's unfortunate. He's going to be out. Kieran Briggs, the big ruck, is out as well. Radigali in for Port, Farrell in for Port as well. He's had a bit of a hiatus, so that's going to be a big thing to watch because, a lot of people are big on Rosie. How does this impact Rosie? Rosie sort of stepped into maybe what people thought Kane Farrell was going to be. Does it impact him at all? Does Kane Farrell have to take the back seat? All things that I think a lot of coaches will be watching in this game closely.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's go to the next one, though. We've got North versus West Coast. And look, nothing too big here in terms of starts. Carlton Essendon, Jack Silvani in. He's a bit of a stream. Goes through that ruck sometimes. So have a look there. Parrish is in for Essendon. But again, nothing too significant. And the last game, don't have it yet. So that's on the Monday. How good? Monday footy.
Yeah, no, looking forward to. Well, the good thing about the thing I like about Monday footy is not only is it a public holiday, but then we also get to go into next week. We only have Tuesday, Wednesday with no footy, and then it's Thursday again. So that's why I like Monday footy when it comes around. So looking forward to it.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. Well, look, we're going to talk about this round. I might pull up this comment here if possible. Red Lightning need help. Anyway, joined GameDay Squad a couple of weeks ago. Really enjoying it. Well, look, how about you let me know how I can help you, and we'll see if we can sort something out for you. But I'm sure we can give you a couple packs or whatever that may be. We can have a look. But Bales, let's get into some rankings. Let's look at each position, the best starts, and maybe some players that I would have missed, and you can call that out. But this is on the wrong slide. A little bit of a spoiler alert.
Hey, people looking at my squad already. So
it's just a sneak peek at a really, really good squad. You've been fantastic this year, Bales.
Thank you. Hopefully we can get a prize card. That'd be nice.
Yes, hopefully so. Let's talk about defenders, though, Bales. I don't have a lock for defenders this round. I feel like there's no one absolute standout player where you just go, yeah, it has to be. I think there's a lot of players that you're going to want to start, hence why we do these rankings. Nick Martin's the top of that list for me, though. He's just been in awesome form. His role at the moment and the way he's playing is just unbelievable. How can you not start him? His lowest score in his past 4 games has been 117. The next game after that is 137 out of the 4 games. So just unbelievable player, playing some of his best footy, and just got to get him in the lineup. Yep. Someone that I might have a bit high and maybe a little controversial is Harry Sheezel. Sort of what are we going to see from him? I just think it's a really plus matchup no matter what and where he's sort of playing. And even if he is playing a little more forward, that I actually think he can still dominate. So, that's that. Then we've got Holmesy, Big Max Holmes. He looks like he's back. He's at some of his best. So very excited to see what he's going to be doing this round. Geelong, okay matchup. Have you big on Holmesy this round? Bales, what are you thinking there?
Yeah, I think he's in this week. I think he's shown over the last couple of weeks that he had that dip in form a little bit, but I think he's still a very good option. That score last week could have been bigger. I think he had a pretty quiet last quarter, but still, when you're getting, I think he got 120 in the end or just over. If you're getting that from a defender, I think you're pretty happy. He's playing as a mid as well. So another good matchup against Gold Coast, who have been a pretty good matchup the last few for mid. So I think he's in along with Martin and Sheezel. I think have got to be in your squads pretty much every week.
Love it, mate. What about these tandem here, the Giants? We've got Whitfield and Ash. I'm saying start both this round. And it's against Port. Big game. But, yeah, I think they've just both been playing really good. We saw Whitfield sort of play a bit more defensive last round, which was a positive sign. I was a little concerned when he was playing a bit higher up the ground just because he's so elite at what he does. Like, why would you change it? But they've shown throughout this season that both Ash and Whitfield can play extremely well. And I think last round's the perfect example of that. 138 and 135 for Ash and Whitfield in that game. So I wouldn't be too scared or shying away from starting the double. I think, look, they're red hot. Ash has had 20 kicks in his past 3 games. And Whitfield's just lucky Whitfield. Like, I just can't look at fading him in many rounds. So he's a little further down the rankings than normal, but even still, he's in for me, and he's in at number 4.
Yep, I like it.
The next 2, Johnny Noble and Bailey Dale. Bailey Dale's playing tonight. Little nerve-wracking for me. It's only a couple of rounds ago where we saw Bailey Dale get 190 fantasy points, and he looked unstoppable. But we have just seen this roller coaster of performance from him throughout the year. He gets really high, and then he can get really low. So I'm not 100% sold, but right now, Dale is in my squad. Is he someone you're nervous about, Bales, or are we going to see a little later on maybe you're a bit more confident in starting him?
This week, not as much. Hawks are still difficult, right? I know Nick Dacos went pretty well, and Josh Dacos had a pretty good last quarter, but Hawks are pretty tough most weeks, so probably fading him this week. But if people have had a bit of a look ahead to the next couple, I think he's got St Kilda, then Richmond. So pretty nice couple of matchups. So I think Bailey Dale is going to be someone that we're going to be having in our squads over the next couple of weeks after this week. But I think this week probably just let it maybe let it go for this week, I reckon.
Yeah, couldn't agree more, mate. Well, I do disagree, I guess, but I was reading these comments. Sorry, look at Cal here. He's saying Crows are legit. What a weird time to tune in at. It's giving you some stick, mate.
bloody cow. Yeah. They're going along nicely. So it's good to see. Hopefully they can keep going well and hopefully get a win tomorrow night. That'd be nice.
Yes, mate, for sure. Well, look, the next player, Bowie, I think he's been solid all year. I see the ball being down in the defence a little bit, but just sort of outside of that best 7 for me. Carl Amon is another player that, like Bailey Dale, when he's on, he's unbelievable. He's so good, but he just has those games where he can punish you if you start him in the wrong matchup or in the wrong round. And then I had Matty Roberts at number 10, which, and again, with the news coming in, don't have him anywhere near your top 10. He's out due to illness. But, yeah, it was a really good matchup. And, again, we sort of mentioned it because it's a shame because it was a good pot opportunity to get someone like Matty Roberts in and to see him dominate.
Yeah, with the matchup, it would have been I think it would have been a pretty nice pick. But, unfortunately, with being out, you've got to look elsewhere.
Mate, unfortunately, you do. Well, alrighty, let's get into our midfields. I've got 2 locks this round. I've got Nick Dacos and Bontempelli as being 2 players that you should be starting to build your midfield around. I know we discussed some weeks ago, you've got the Nick Dacos All-Star card, so I'm sure you're very much liking the sound of that, although I can't see you fading him too many times. And then Bont tonight, I think he's going to dominate.
Yeah, I think Bont's in for a good one. I still think Nash will go to him at times at stoppages, so maybe not a ceiling score for him, but we haven't really seen many big ceiling scores from Bont. He was on track. I think he was just over a ton in GameDay Squad, and then Blitzarves went to him about 5 minutes ago in the third quarter. So that could have been a massive score, but Blitzarves sort of kept him a bit quiet. But I mentioned about Bailey Dale with that good matchups. Bont's got the same. He's got Saints into Richmond, into Sydney, who been giving up some points. And they've got another good one just after that as well. So they've got a pretty nice 4-week stretch after this week. They could be 5 and zip if they win tonight for the next 5. So, I think Bont is a very, very good play.
Yeah, I'm going to pull this up, Bales. This is a really good point. You know, weather's a big factor when you're looking at some of these games. Could be a bit of it on the weekend. Who would be your top 3 wet weather pods? Or give us one. Give us a goodie.
He's not really a pod, but Dunkley tomorrow night could rack up the tackles. Just trying to think of the other wet weather games. I don't really know. Is the Sydney game going to be wet weather, or is that going to be fine? I'm not sure. I know Cal would be happy to say that maybe James Ropon could be a pod if it's raining.
I was literally thinking the same thing.
I don't know. It's hard because I don't exactly know which ones are going to be raining. Dunkley's the first one that comes to mind just because of the tackles and everything like that. I would have said Libba, but obviously they're under the roof tonight, so there's obviously no wet weather. So it's a tricky one to answer actually. But maybe Robon's probably the one that comes to mind if it is raining. I don't know if it's raining tomorrow.
Fair enough. And look, if it's raining on the Sunday, I might go my number 10 as being a good pod to play. Is Patrick Cripps. He loves a bit of wet weather footy, big body in the midfield. He's someone that could tackle really hard and rack them up and have a really good round. So there you go. 2 options there. But Dawson, just can't not start him. You just mentioned about some weather concerns. If it is wet weather footy, Dawson will just tackle like a machine. He'll still find a way to output points. Number 4 there, I've got Tommy Green. People are a bit hesitant, I think, to start him this year, Bales. I'm not sure how you've been feeling about Tom Green, but I think very sneaky. He's just having a really good year. Like, I know he has some lower scores, and it can be a bit up and down. But, last round, 129. We've seen a 153 only 3 rounds before that. So what's your thoughts on Tom Green in this season?
Yeah, he's been up and down. So it's been a little bit frustrating for people that own him because you would have thought maybe he would have been a bit more consistent in terms of his numbers because normally he's a guy that he gets 25, 30 touches a week, but the tackles and marks haven't been there. I think Bergman probably goes to him this week and does a bit of a run with role. So I'm not as bullish on Green this week. Maybe a bit of a run with role from Bergman, tough match against Port. But after this week, I think their run opens up for the rest of the year. So it could be someone that has a good second half of the year, but maybe not this week.
Yeah, fair enough. Noah Anderson, I've got it, number 5. He's just playing fantastic. He's so good. So he's their captain.
On Anderson, I'm big fade this week. If we were doing the show on our one, he'd be arguably my fade of the week. Geelong seems like a decent matchup on paper, but the way Anderson's been playing the last few weeks, been playing really well. Geelong will take notice. They've used Mullen as a tagger. I think Mullen goes to Anderson this week because I don't think Mullen can stop Matt Rouse. So I think that Anderson may cop some attention. But if he doesn't, it's a good pick because I think he goes well. So it's one of those ones where if he gets attention, he's a fade. But if he doesn't, he's a good pick. So if you think he's not going to get attention, I think I like it. But if you think he's going to get attention, I think maybe there's.
It's a big call.
I know what you think, but I think it's a pretty hard week for midfielders this week. I know you've got Dagos and Bonn as locks. I think Dawson's probably there as well. But outside of those three, I don't have huge amount of confidence in a few of the other names. They've either got tough matchups or they just haven't been in good form.
I completely agree. It was a really hard round. I'm a little concerned tonight as well with someone like Ed Richards, getting him in. Maybe it's a Libba round. If that is the case as well, do you go Bont and Libba? I guess that's some of the things and questions that coaches will have. But look, if it plays off Bales, it's a big play. But look, Noah Anderson over the past 3 is averaging 140 fantasy points on average. So it's one of those, if you nail it, how good. You've got a big one up on everyone. But yeah, if he doesn't get that attention and continues this form, then it could be one of those decisions on Monday night or Tuesday morning, because it's Monday footy this round, where you're like, goodness, why have I done this to myself?
Exactly.
Saki Merritt's just safe. I do agree that it was a really hard round sort of to put these rankings together for midfielders in particular. And Merritt's just, for me, is a little bit of a safety net. If I'm not too sure where to go, I just know he's the best midfielder in his team. He's going to get lots of opportunity to score, and he's probably got a really good floor because of that, sort of irrespective of the matchup that he has. But I've got a couple pods after that. Chad Warner could go nuts, and I'm almost thinking about starting him still.
Good matchup.
It's just, he just depends too much on kicking goals. If he doesn't kick 2 goals, then he just won't have a good fantasy performance. If he can get to that 2-goal mark, then we're probably going to see 140 or 150 fantasy points. But you just I'm super unsure what we're going to see. And that's why I'm a little hesitant to get him into my best 6, because it could just go the other way. But Hewitt is in really bad form, but he has such a good matchup. And if he can get back to that form that he was at the start of the year of just dominating the possession, and he'll have that opportunity to do that this week, then it could be one of the big plays of the round that and decisions that coaches make. Ed Richards is there as well. A little nervous about him, and Cripper, sort of one of those big pods. If it is wet weather footy, we could see him skyrocket up these ranks and get into sort of that top range.
Yeah, exactly. Sam Walsh is someone as well that if you want to go for a real pod, I think he's got to turn his form around at some point. Too good a player, but he's obviously the 4th midfielder behind Hewitt, Cripps and Cher, right? So if he's going to stay in that role...
He's coming off the half forward, sort of rolling in. It's a bit weird for him.
Yeah, he's been named the forward pocket as well. So I'm not sure what's going on exactly with Walshy in terms of like why they're not... I guess like Hewitt, Cher and Cripps are great players, right? But I'd like to think that Walsh is a guy you get in there a bit more. So maybe the week off they reset, but you probably don't play Walsh this week, but they've got a good stretch. So probably someone just to keep an eye on. The other guy I like that's probably just outside your top 10, I still like Rosie. I know it's against the Giants, a tough matchup, but in a week where there's some bad matchups, weather around, I don't know if it's meant to be raining in that game, but I've got Rosie as a decent play still, because I think Bedford goes to Butters, and I think Rosie goes pretty well across halfback. Yeah,
Auntie Booger pulled up Libba. Yeah, look, it could be a good play. Libba's in some really awesome. To be fair, the whole Dogs midfield is in some pretty wicked form.
Yeah.
If you go back and have a look at some of their games, but yeah, Libba could easily turn out a 120 or 130 tonight. He's done that heaps this season. So I don't mind it, Auntie Boogs, if you want to go there. And then we've got Ross saying Bont is such a lock. Yeah.
Yeah, but Bont's in there. He's got. I know he might not put up a massive score tonight, just because it's Hawthorn. He might cop some attention at stoppages, as I said. But I just think that moving forward, you just got to have him in.
Beautiful, mate. Let's move on to our rucks, and I think there's going to be a consensus number 1 ruck this round. It's the Big X, isn't it?
Tell you what, if there's ever a week you want to put some salary on someone to go big, this is the week to do it. I think that he is set for a massive game. He's gone absolutely massive the last 2 times he's played them. He's also got he also had a big game in the preseason against West Coast. I just think it's a bit of a no-brainer in a way. I just think you've got to put him in this week, and if you've got salary on him, I think I'd be putting as much as you probably can on. I think he's going to go absolutely nuts tonight on Wednesday play Sunday. So
Sunday,
yeah, I think he's a very, very good pick.
couldn't agree with you more. Max Gawn is in just some like all-Australian best ruck in the comp form. And in this round, I think the Big X takes it from him. I totally agree with the salary cap. He might be the highest scoring player for the round in the entire competition. So
Yeah, I think
he's going to have a really good floor as well. So even if he's not 100% on his A game, he won't need to be. He's still going to be able to produce a monster performance. So, yeah, I'm all in on the Big X this round. And just Gawn. Look, versing Cameron, who's a very good ruck in his own right, but Gawn has just shown this year that it doesn't matter who he's playing. Doesn't matter what the matchup is. He's going to score points, and he's going to score a lot of them. And even if the other rucks are playing really well, like I think the week he versus Grundy had like 130, but he had 156. So even if the opposing ruck's playing really well, Gawn's just playing better. So it doesn't matter who he's going up against in a really good opponent. I think he still shines bright and scores big.
Yeah, agreed.
Grundy was a bit of, I started him last round, Bales. He was a bit of a pod. You said I wouldn't be going there. 141 points, thank you. He's in some great form.
But you would have, if someone said to you, Grundy's playing Riley O'Brien, they're going to lose by 90 points, you would have thought there's no way I'm touching Grundy. But he was the top scorer of the game. He was the top.
Who said we had to bring up the score again?
I'm only making a point. I'm only making a point that I'm saying if you told me what the result was going to be, he was playing Riley O'Brien, I would have said there's no way on earth I'm touching Grundy. He's probably going to be in the bottom 5 in terms of my rankings this week for rucks. But it turns out to top score for the game. I don't know if you saw the game. I don't think on the bingo card you would have had Brodie Grundy, Tom McCartan as the only two guys from a fantasy standpoint that went over a ton that would have gone over 110 in GameDay Squad. And then you got Neil Bullen and Mark Keane as the next two. Like you wouldn't have had that there. Like you would have thought other like Dawson and Roberts and Warner and Rankin and all these guys, but Roberts was okay, but everyone else was pretty average.
Ladies and gentlemen, you got to love a friend who will rub in the fact that his team smacked you last round just to make a point.
No, I'm not having that.
You heard it. You heard it live.
Not having that. No, did not rub in at all whatsoever.
He just had to mention the 90 points, didn't he? Anyway, we'll swiftly move on. Yes, we did lose last round. Brodie Grundy did play really well in a matchup that you said it is one of the harder ones in the competition. So I understand the thought process, but maybe he's finally sort of turning a page. And one thing he's doing is getting a ton of disposals, and that's what's helped him. That uptick in disposals, like we saw weeks where he couldn't crack 10. Now he's getting over 15 and almost heading into the 20 disposals range per game. And that's just exactly what you need to get back at your best. So Grundy, bit of a pot option, but don't mind it if you want to go there. Timmy English at number 4. I'm a little nervous about the matchup tonight, although the form is unbelievable. He might just outshine Lloyd Meek, and this could be something I regret. But with Gawn in there, with Cherry with a really good matchup, Grundy's in good form. I'm just not sure if against Meek I want to be starting Tim English in this round in particular, but he needs to be in the conversation nonetheless.
Yep. Yeah, I agree with that.
And Cameron, just going to be a tough day in the office against Gawn. He's still one of the best in the competition and a great ruck to be starting in most rounds, but I think this round in particular,
Gawn, yeah,
I'm just going to fade him out.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, English is probably the one that if you're going for someone other than Cherry or more than Gawn, but I think Cherry Gawn is pretty much the consensus top 2, and I think a lot of people just start those two.
Yes, and Bales, don't worry. It's not just you that's been rubbing it in. Melissa as a Crows fan, has also been reminding me of the absolute punish that we got last round. So you're not alone in this. And Melissa, yes, I have seen the memes you've been posting. They've been funny, but they do hurt just a little bit in here. But anyway. Let's move on, Bales. Let's talk about some forwards. I've got 2 locks. Tell me if you agree. Bailey Smith, Matthew Kennedy. I think they're locked in as forwards, got great roles. They're going to score really well. Yeah.
Baz is just someone just don't have to talk about. Just lock every week. And Matt Kennedy's probably in that same boat as well. I would have said Nick Martin, but he's not forward in GameDay Squad. Maybe next year, but not this year. But no, they're the 2 that I think comfortably are there. And you're probably filling out the other 5 spots with some other guys.
Yeah, and mate, it's a good point you bring up. One of the things that I like to do is sort of target some of those players who, like, they're good this year, but next year they could be even better. And Nick Martin as a forward next year might be the number 1 ranked player in the competition. If he keeps playing this role and he's going to potentially get forward a status, then wow, Nick Martin is going to be one of the premier players heading into next season. But someone who's really lifted their game, Bales, is Brian Myers. He seems to be back at his absolute best. He started really slow. Mana was sort of outperforming him. He was sort of disappointing, I guess, a lot of coaches when they were starting him and putting him into their squad. But the past couple of games, I'll just read them out for you. 161, 127, 112, 115. He's cracking the ton nearly every week now. He's back to his best.
Yeah. Oh, he's very, very good. I think he's someone, again, with Geelong, good run coming up. Sorry, were you saying Myers? Was that who you
Brian Myers, correct?
Yeah, Myers. Yeah, I thought so, yeah. Yeah, I think he's just a guy that's in form. He's got some good matchups to come. He likes scoring at GMHBA as well, and that's where they are this week. So I think he's a guy that, for the time being, I think he's pretty close to. He's probably, again, he's third. I think he's probably the closest guy to the lock, particularly this week.
Love it, man. Yeah, he's so good. It's good to see him back at his best. He was an all-star last year, and I sort of had doubts that he might get there again this year. But if he keeps this up, he'll be back in that conversation again.
Definitely.
To end this one, we've got Rankin, your boy. Why don't you tell me about why people should be starting Isaac Rankin?
I think that I probably can't give you too much other than the fact that there's not many forwards to really pick from. I think it's a bit of a slight concern with Rankin. He's had more of a forward role the last few weeks. It's been more, and I know Nick's came out today and said that they don't want to smash him in the mids all year. So that's my concern with Rankin in terms. I don't know if we're going to see as consistent a ceiling as what we did early in the year. There will be games where it go well, but I do think there's going to be a few lower ones. So a bit nerve-wracking. And the fact that it's going to be pretty wet tomorrow at the game against Brisbane, he's arguably someone you could fade. I think I'm probably still going to start him regardless, just because of the lack of options. But if you want to go a bit spicy this week and put someone in that think they could go quite well, he's maybe someone that you could maybe look to maybe fade this week just with the weather matchup. But I've still got him there. I think it's still there's not many other people I'm confident in, but yeah, just something to note moving forward.
That's interesting. So you think there's a conversation in a world where you could potentially be fading Rankin because of weather, role, etc., and maybe that's the edge you might need heading into this round?
Yeah, I think so. I think maybe with the lack of options, the fact that Horne-Francis still isn't back from injury, McRae hopefully back next week. We might have a few extra options next week, like Luke Jackson as well is obviously on bye. Shea Bolton's on bye. Maybe next week with the Hawthorn matchup for Rankin, maybe that's where you look at and go, well, we've got a few options back, but then you've got, and you don't have many teams on bye that have got forwards. So something to look at moving forward. But yeah, I think Rankin's still fine enough. But yeah, it could be a low one, unfortunately.
Okay, completely understand. Do you know who someone I think is a lot of people are going to be big on is Jai Simpkin. He's got one of the best matchups in fantasy. He plays in the midfield. He's going to run through there. They've got West Coast on Sunday. I think he's a big in. We've seen at points this year he can play really, really well. His role is really solid. He's their commander-in-chief, and he's going to continue to play well. So he will be rotating in. He won't be starting in there, but you can be rest assured that he should have a nice role.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think he's someone that, again, if he wasn't in your forwards, you could arguably go Simpkin over Rankin this week. That's someone that maybe you look at.
For sure, mate. Well, other than that, we've got Pickett. Cozzy Pickett's been so good. Just his ability to go forward. Last round wasn't that, though. He only had 53 fantasy points, so not exactly what we're looking for. But the round before that, 152, 117, and 123. So he's in unbelievable form. He's got a really good role, and he's going to have it on the big stage at the MCG on Monday, and he is a big game player. I do see him scoring very well against Collingwood.
Yeah, agreed.
And the last one there is Caleb Daniel. And the reason I have him there is because I think Sheasel sort of, I'm a little nervous, but I think he's come out of that sort of defender role. And we're going to be okay to play Caleb Daniel again because Sheasel coming back sort of directly impacted his fantasy ceiling. But now that Sheasel's sort of going back towards the middle and rotating through the forwards as well, we've seen Caleb Daniel just have more opportunity to score and get back to being the primary kick-in taker and then also just getting the opportunity to score well because of it.
I think Caleb Daniel's a good pick this week. I think West Coast aren't normally a good matchup for defenders, but I think this is different. This game will be pretty close, I think. So I think Daniel will have those kick-ins, get a bit of the ball. I think he's a really good pick, and I think his ceiling, the ability to potentially hit that a little bit more if Sheasel's playing forward is definitely there as well.
For sure, mate. Then I've got some key forwards. After that, I've got Jezza, Thilthorpe, and Peter Wright. You could honestly make a case to play any of them. Jeremy Cameron got shut down for 3 quarters last week and still cracked a ton because he had one good fourth quarter. He looks like he's just back to playing his best.
Yeah, Thilthorpe this week, I'm quite nervous about with the weather. That's the only reason I'm nervous. Just
Auntie Booger asked the question: if you could pick between Rankin and Thilthorpe, are you staying Rankin?
Yeah,
I'm assuming.
It's Rankin. It's Rankin this week. You're not going. I wouldn't want to go Thilthorpe this week with the weather. Brisbane matchup, really hard matchup. So this week I'd be fading Thilthorpe, but moving forward, I'd be still again he's an option there as well. And Peter Wright's a guy. I will give you. Oh, hang on. So almost worth potting Rochelle over Rankin. Potentially, I feel like they're probably. I don't know if Rochelle's got the ceiling though. That's the only reason I probably would still go with Rankin. But I'll give you 2 pods for you in the forward line. I like these 2 this week. I don't know what the weather's like on Sunday night in Melbourne, so I have to have a look at that. But Charlie Curnow and Harry Mackay both could have big games this week. Essendon are depleted in terms of their key backstops.
That's a good call. They're
going to be having guys like the Verde and guys like that on them. I think this is a game where those forwards could fill their boots. So I think in my classics, we'll look at after, but I believe I've got both currently at the moment. So something to be looking at for sure.
Wow. I don't mind it because you're right. Like, who is going to match up on either one of those? Maybe Harry Mackay's.
Curnow's a safer player out of the 2 if you want to go for one.
I'd say so. Because Harry was going in sort of through the ruck, playing a second ruck role, but Big Silvani's back and potentially he doesn't get that. And if Curnow's sitting deep, I could just see him having a day where he kicks, 4 or 5 goals. He's one of the best in the competition for a reason, right?
Yeah, there you go. Melissa just said then, mostly clear, around 10 to 20% chance of showers for that Carlton Essendon game. So sounds pretty good. So I'm pretty keen on both those guys.
Beautiful. Well, Bales, that's going to wrap up my rankings. Let's talk about one other player, and maybe should be a little higher. What about big Nick Larkey? Can you make a case this round against West Coast to play the big Suv Larkey in your forward line?
Ooh.
We've seen Hogan in this matchup play unbelievable. We've seen a good bunch of Riley Thilthorpe in the first half, I think, against West Coast was nearly on 100 fantasy points. We've seen a lot of good key forwards score really well. Can you make the case for Nick Larkey, or is it too much of a stretch?
Larkey's an option for sure against West Coast. Good matchup. I probably think that the Essendon matchup for those Carlton guys is probably the better one, but I think there's an argument to be made. You could go for if you want to be real spicy, go for all 3. But I don't know if I'd put all 3 in. But yeah, you could definitely maybe you could go Curnow and Larkey. Maybe go 1-1 and bank on both of them going well instead of going for both of the Blues forwards if you want. But yeah, I think Larkey's someone that you could consider. All
right, mate. Let's get into your squad. They're my rankings done. We're going to have a look at the Bales Nails and how they're lining up for round 13. Take us through it, mate.
Yeah, so that's how we're currently shaping up. So got Zorko, Whitfield, Martin, Ash, Sheasel, John Noble, and Max Holmes. It's pretty standard, I think, this week. I think they're probably the ones that you're looking at there. Got Dawson in there, Rosie, Merritt, Dacos, and Bont. Dunkley sitting there on the bench. I think that weather will be good. And then you got Baz, Kennedy, Rankin, Myers, Daniel, and I do have both of Mackay and Curnow at the moment. Jai Simpkins, someone as well I've considered putting in there, but for the time being, I like that. Probably the only change I think I've made since I sent you that screenshot was I've gone Dawson down to the bronze, and I've put the salary on top of Gawn, with probably the better matchup there. But I like both, so that's currently how we're sitting with the team this week.
Beautiful, mate. Beautiful. Great squad. You're having a great year so far. Look at that all-star Nick Dacos, mate. How beautiful
that is. I probably, when I opened it, I was obviously very excited when I got it, but I was like, is he the best one long-term? He's going to be a midfielder, not the defender when I got him, because he was a defender when I packed it. But for sure, it's probably the best one I could have got. You could have gotten in terms of a dynasty asset all-star card. I've now got that for his 10 years, 15 years, however long he's going to play footy, which is pretty nice. So yeah, very very happy.
Pretty
to
nice to be an understatement, mate. I think. But anyway,
bloody awesome. There you go.
There we go. Let me get up my squad quickly. I'll do. Some people say, "Oh, Tom, you don't show your squad at the end. What if it's all changed?" I'll show you how I distribute my salary cap. Is what I'll do. I'm big on Harry Sheasel. I've got a gold on him as well. Nick Martin's in great form. Dacos, I think, is about to play really well. So I'm going to put salary cap there. And you can see the big X. You spoke about getting salary cap on him. I agree. I think you should be getting salary cap on him. But there is the squad. I've just got a bunch of silvers after that. Gorn sort of gets a silver. He just plays so solid. Like we're speaking about his scoring before. He just outputs so many points. So it's a really safe play to put some salary cap on him.
Yeah.
So don't shy away from that, of course.
Yeah, like it.
Well, alrighty, everyone. That's going to wrap us up. We have previewed round 13. Hopefully, you've looked at this and you're feeling a little better about yourself. You're feeling a little better about your squad. Maybe you've made some substitutions. Let us know in the comments or hop over to the Discord if you have made any subs and you've got some last-minute round questions. But Bales, before we go, where can everyone find you and all the amazing stuff that you're doing?
Yep, so you can find me at Bales DT across the socials and us at AFL Fantasy Fans on Twitter or wherever you get your podcasts. I'm just about to start a watch-along for the Doggies Hawks game. So if anyone wants to keep chatting fantasy for a couple of hours or even if you just want to pop in and say g'day, I'll be live for about 3 hours or so watching the game, hopefully seeing Big Bont go well and hopefully a good game of footy. So looking forward to that. Yeah, that's one I'm probably jealous of, not having that Bailey.
Sorry, I got called out that I didn't show off my buzzer. I should be showing it off, but, it's a beautiful card. It does beautiful things for me, and hopefully you can keep carrying me up and up the ranks.
Yeah, exactly. But, yeah, you can find me across there, and good luck for everyone this week. Hopefully you guys have a good round.
Mate, thanks for taking the time out of your afternoon. Go check out Bales and all the good stuff he's doing. And as he said, the best of luck, and hopefully we'll see you all on the leaderboards. Peace out, everyone.